Well, this is part two about the power of consistency. And well, um, I had to stop for a sec because, well, the one I'm staying at, she came home and, well, I wanted to know what her story was. So uh, here I am again. And, well, I think we've been sleeping a little bit, the both of us. And, well, so it's time to continue on. So I was sharing about how I was surprised that people don't take one another into consideration when it comes to doing things together. Now, when we talk about the power of consistency, it's also about working together and saying, hey, do you want to do certain things with me? Let's get out there, especially when things aren't going the way that you would like them to. Now, I came to a conclusion, and part of it was because of the challenge I did. So that was the Chicago Courage Challenge, and part of it had to do with what Brendan said. I'm not sure what came first. I think I actually said it myself before he said so, but I realized that I cannot always say it's about what the other one wants. It also depends on what I want and what I do. Do I take action? And I was like, okay, yeah, this is about taking action. This is about taking responsibility. And well, that's one of the reasons that I said I'm going to go live no matter what. And well, so I might be 2 days late, but I'm doing it. And even though this is a part one and a part two, and I don't know, maybe even a part three, those things can happen. And, as long as it gets out there, I am pretty much good with it. Now, getting back to the whole power of consistency, like I said, last year or the year before, I had done the lives like for 8 months in a row every week, and then I stopped doing so. And it took me over a year to get back at it again. And when you finally build a certain muscle, it's such a shame to let go of it. And having gone out there like every day since December 1st on Instagram, and then later on also every Friday for Friday Night Live. And yes, sometimes the time is a little bit different depending on how awake and energetic I am or how tired I am. But right now it's like, okay, let's go do it. And yes, this is actually the first time that I'm this late, but there are circumstances, and I could have said, okay, I'm not going to do it because I'm 2 days late, or I can say, well, this is a +2, just like I'd written down. So, well, I also wrote something else down, and I said, this week is about traveling, it's about training, and it's also about a shortage of sleep. It's about catching up, it's about being in a different time zone, which basically messed up the entire training and also messed up the Friday Night Live. So, if you also take in consideration that there was a whole lot to do when it came to finishing emails and everything, then you know that things went a little bit haywire. So, the good news is that I got the Chicago Cards Challenge out there. I'll honestly say I'm still working on it. It's become a much bigger project than I ever thought it would be. Now, Brennan Burchard, he challenged us to actually go and get our stuff done before Sunday. Well, it's Sunday, so by the end of tonight, the goal is that I actually have finished the course and done all the emails. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that's going to work, but I do know this. I've also been working on getting the Chicago Courage trip out there. And for me, it's very important to do the Chicago coaching, group coaching courage trip, because I so believe, especially when it comes to entrepreneurs who are starting up, but also the ones who are small business owners and they don't have HR, that it's important for them to connect to other people. So, one of the things that I really, really, really want to do is get together with a group of people who are dedicated to taking their life and the business to a higher level. Now, what I came up with was during the day, it's about working on your own life, and during the evening, it's going to be about the business. Except for the Friday. Friday is the entire day dedicated to your personal life, and on Monday, it's going to be entirely dedicated to growing your business. Now, the whole goal is that there's going to be an accountability group which works together. So that's not going to be like I discussed earlier in the previous part one, as in you leave people behind. We don't leave people behind. When I am at the head of a group, I always make sure that everyone is heard. And you know, I've done it plenty of times, so it's about picking up on little clues, whether people feel left out or not, or maybe they're too shy to talk about something, and they might have something very important to share. It's just that they need a little bit of encouragement. So I want to know and hear from everyone and stimulate everyone to be at their best and to be the most creative that they can be. Now, I also know that a lot of business owners are, especially depending on size, do run into a lot of the same things. Just like start business owners who are starting up also run into the same things. So for me, for instance, learning Kajabi, oh my God, my coach, she still gets a laugh when she hears me say the word Kajabi. She says, if I would have gotten a penny for every time someone said Kajabi, I would be rich. Now, I am actually getting the hang of it. So that means that probably soon I'm going to record a little bit, which is related to Kajabi, so others can also benefit from it. I mean, why keep for yourself what you can share with others, right? And it would be nice to actually see others, climb to the next level. And having been at the coaching summit and also Ultra, I again realized that there are many people who are so good at their craft. But then when it comes to the other stuff around it, oh my God, that's hard. And, I listened to Brendan, how he explained it, what we need to do, a lot of that stuff I already know. And I was like, yeah, I'm on the right way. I'm on the right path to do certain things. And one of the things that he has said, and he has said so for a while to me because I asked him about it before, is make sure that you keep working on that one thing and improve that one thing. Now, for me, I have got the Chicago Courage Challenge. And then, apart from the Chicago Courage Challenge, I also have the group coaching training. So the goal is that September 20th, a bunch of you are going to come with me and we are going to work on a number of things related to your business. And the question, of course, is are you going to join or are you not? So the first module actually gets into, but why should you do it? It's a blog post that I've written a while ago. And in the blog post, I explain why I believe that taking a trip is so immensely powerful because it has to do with being out of your normal environment, so being away from everything that normally holds you back. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it's amazing if you have a loving family and everything, and if you have work that you really love to do. But sometimes you need to take a break from all of it to actually see, okay, this is me, this is what I'm good at, this is what I can improve, and to get the creative ideas to actually go do it. And by being away from your normal family, a lot of things can actually happen. So that's the whole reason that I'm like, okay, let's go. You can sightsee, and with every assignment, also related to the sightseeing, there is something behind it. So I never just do the things for the sake of doing them. I do things with a certain goal, and I want people to think about what they're going to do and why they're going to do it, and then also do it, of course. So you are going to go back home with a renewed vision or an upgraded vision of what it is you can do. But more importantly, you're going to go home with a group of people who feel the same way that you do, which is let's go for it. And that's why I'm saying it's so important to not just say, I don't have the time, or to not just say, well, we don't have an eye for certain people, or we exclude people easily. That's something that's a no-go. I mean, everyone is important, everyone is good at certain things. And yes, some people are having more trouble when it comes to communicating than other people do. And when we take that into consideration, then we can learn from one another, and we can ask on and wonder, like, okay, so what is it that people actually need? Now, having said all of this, when I was at Brandon's, I recognized something, and it's that huge mountain. Like, oh, what I want, that's all the way up there. But how on earth am I ever going to get there? And I do believe that it's way easier than we think if we keep going at it consistently. So one step at a time. And especially not letting go of it. So even when I was on the plane, I was like, okay, I'm sleeping a lot, but I still want to do some stuff out there. So actually, at some point, I decided just to go and get Wi Fi and watch things and type things and be able to share it online, keep working on what it is I wanted to get out there. Now, I do have to say it's a little bit problematic when you're sleepy, but regardless, I did do it. And like I said earlier in part one, yesterday I was so sleepy, and I was like, but I do want to get this post out there on Instagram. So that's what I did. Having said all of this, it was a little bit of a disappointment that on the flight over, I actually had reached day 950 on Duolingo, and then I had to redo day 950, and it says you got a strict freeze, and I didn't get a strict freeze, but apparently the system couldn't update what I had done, which was okay too. I mean, those things happen, especially when traveling. Now, the question is, when we're talking about the power of consistency, I want you to start thinking about some things. And the first thing that I want you to think about is, what have you stopped doing? And maybe there's something that you haven't stopped doing, but you're doing it on an irregular basis. So, what is it that you might have done and stopped doing and are doing again, but you don't really pick up on it? And the second thing that I want you to ask yourself is, and why is that? So, is it something you're passionate about or not at all? Probably when you quit doing it, you're not that passionate, or there are other things you're more passionate about. So, those are things that you want to think about, like, hey, what's going on? Is it that I don't have enough time? Is it that my attention is divided? Or is it that I am seriously afraid to go do it? Because what if? And that's one of the reasons that I actually learned to start writing things down. And that's why I wrote this down. Because I was like, okay, I'm here and I forgot Friday Night Live. So what now? And it was kind of funny to actually write down, that's okay. Just change it to +1, which now is +2. And then I was like, okay, but there's Brendan, and there's that one thing that I want to get out there. And just as I wasn't sure how I was going to get here, it happened. And I'm not going to say it's pure visualization. Uh, au contraire, this has to do with something that I've been building up years already. And well, somehow this opportunity arose, but the mere fact that it arose didn't surprise me, because sometimes I work with clients and they need a lot of support, in a row. And that's basically what happened, and that's what made it possible. So that's good. Does that mean that I'm not grateful? Oh, I'm grateful. And it's exactly the way I imagined it. And then I was like, okay, so now we've achieved goal 1, but how about goal number 2? And I was like, okay, so I need to keep on going out there and share with people, hey, there's still the group coaching training in Chicago. So how about it? Are you going to join me? Because I know that people need it. I've heard them talk about it. And I know how things can change if you really find a group that really matches with one another. And so that's why I'm saying this is not about leaving people behind. And if you are a little bit shy, then I will make sure that you speak up and speak out about what it is. And, not just being a coach, but also being used to giving everyone as much attention as the other one. And yes, sometimes people want and need a little bit more attention, whether it's just because of a challenge or problem they have, or because they have something special to share, which we all can benefit from. But it's about that at the end of the meeting, everybody had the possibility to say and share something, and we all had the possibility to learn from it. So one of the things that I really like about Brendon Burchard, and sometimes it's a little bit awkward when you do things online, but it can be done, is he uses a timer. So you get divided in a number of people, as a group number of people, and each of us has a certain amount of minutes. Now, here's the important thing. It's about writing things down that the other one says. And you can immediately recognize who has had training before from Brendon, because those people, they come there with their notebook and they start writing. I'm one of those people too. So actually, this is part 2 from when I arrived, I think, yeah, for Ultra. So I already did a lot of writing, because the writing is about all the people I was in groups with and sharing with, well, we always start with gratitude. What are you grateful for? I think that's a really good thing. Now, I'll honestly say on a personal level, I might just get things out there and then go to gratitude. I'm not sure that's the right order. Uh, but then it's out of my system. And I'll honestly say that that's a little bit how it works on my end. But being grateful, it sets the tone, and that's good. I do absolutely agree with that it sets the tone. And every time that question arises, I realize that there are so many things to be grateful for. I mean, just the mere fact that I'm walking without my crutches. So every now and then I do need to use them, but it's very rare. I didn't take them with me, and I almost thought at the beginning of this week that I'd made a mistake, especially since I've been dancing one song on stage with others to the Black Eyed Peas tonight. And, at some point it's like jumping, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then my knee buckled, and I was like, oh, this didn't go well. And then the following days, it really hurt. So I really had to use my brace again, especially on my right knee. And it's healing pretty nicely. It doesn't hurt anymore, so that's good. Now, having said all of this also has to do with consistency. And I remember that moment that I got off the stage, someone helped me. I walked over to Kendrick, and Kendrick is one of the coaches out there. And he said, I've just been telling to these people out there, like, how you came here, which was 2018, using crutches. I said, oh, yeah, well, that's what I wanted to say to you. Look at this. This was 2018, and I showed the picture of me being in Phoenix on the mountain. So there was this golf course, and I got driven there by a golf cart. And then we walked up, on a sort of steep path. I used both my crutches, so that was doable. And then someone else took a picture of me, and it was nice, and it felt like victory. And I still use that picture nowadays because that felt good to be able to do it. So, despite everything, I never gave up. And when we talk about the power of consistency, that's what we're talking about going on again and again and again, no matter how hard it is, no matter how small the steps may be. And maybe we need to take a few steps back. But as long as we go on, as long as we continue, we are good to go. So we showed the picture to other people too. And well, like I said, following days were a little bit hard because one moment you're standing there on stage, no braces, and you're dancing, and the next moment it's like, ooh, I might need my crutches, actually. And for a moment, I was afraid that the ACL, the ligament on the front side, would have been torn. But, it might still be a little bit swollen, although I think the swelling is gone practically by now. But it works. So I just have learned that when it comes to boundaries, that I need to think about what am I doing, what am I not doing. So having flown 4 times now, 2 times to go to LA and not to Singapore. And if you are like, what is she talking about? Then watch part 1. And of course, 2 times from LA to Sarasota. So with a, what do they call it? Connecting flight in Charlotte. Now, the second day, I was like, oh, I'm going to use my braces. No doubt about it. And I'll honestly say that the moment that I could take them off, like after 12 hours, that was kind of nice too. It's good that I've got those braces, but walking with braces when it's hot, that's not the best thing to do. But it helped. It helped me with the support, and it makes it a lot easier to walk. And well, I cannot make wrong moves, so that makes all the difference. But it's also finding like what can I do and what can I not do. So just now, earlier, I actually went outside, and oh my god, it was hot. And I'd forgotten that the heat here in Florida, I do say it, I know it's humid heat compared to in LA, but still to actually walk out there and then come back all sweaty and all drenched, that was a little bit like, okay, I need to shower and put on something else straight away, which is what I did. And I was like, well, if I go out, then I'll change again to something a little bit more suitable. But for now, this is nice, when you try to get back to what it's like to feel normal and not too sweaty. But yes, it does go on. It does go on with walking without braces. So I considered putting on my right brace, and it was, well, I'm not gone for that long. So you know what? Let's just do it without. And actually, it worked quite well. So that was nice. And yes, for now, it's for me to figure out how this is going to work out in the following days. Like I said, there's humid heat, so it's not the best decision to go out during the day, but then again, it's also not the best decision to go out during the night when it's dark. And that sounds a little bit weird for coming from someone who also walks around in Chicago, but you know, different vibe. And well, I will honestly say I'm not afraid to walk late at night on my own, but when there are a few more people out there, it's a little bit different. It's usually like, okay, there's always someone who's hopefully paying attention. You don't know, but you know, if you never try, you'll never know. So getting back to that question, what is it that you are dreading? What you haven't done? What's behind it? And when you write it down, you would be surprised about the answers you can actually get. So I'm going to encourage you to write down, just like I wrote things down, and to get clarity in your mind about, hey, what is it that I want to do and that I need to do? And having said that, what is going to be your next move? What is it that you need to go do? What you need to start doing instead of postponing every time? And if you have a sense of what it is that you need to do, then, you know, go write it down and maybe set an alarm or a timer or anything. Maybe visualize it so you can actually get in that vibe. And especially when you visualize that you're already doing it, the brain doesn't know the difference. So it's a great tool to actually end up doing something. Now, having said all of this, I'm going to make it a short live today. And yes, I know it's already a part one and a part two. This is about getting that message out there. And I also want to share with you, if you are up for the Chicago coaching group training, then make sure that you sign up. So I think it's going to be ladylexi.com/C Chicago coaching. So C group training, Chicago coaching, courage coaching group training. So it's probably CCCT or CCCGT, all in capitals. And you know, register and think about, do you want to be in the version that's just during the daytime, or do you also want to be part of that group that actually works on getting things to the next level? That's not to say that that when I do stuff with things with people during the day, that we won't form a group, because if I'm passionate about something, it's group coaching training. I totally dig it. It's just that the level of intensity might be a little bit different depending on what it is you want and need to achieve. So having said so, make sure to sign up. I'll make sure that there's a link in there. I have been working on it diligently. Some words are a little hard if you don't say them very often. And so you can sign up, or you can just send me a message here, but make sure to think about it. What is it that you want and need to do? So I'll make sure that if you sign up, that you already get the PDF, which is about why should you do group coaching training. And if you're like, yeah, that makes sense, then you go on and you continue on with the signing up process. And well, then I am going to see you in Chicago. And possibly I will talk to you before it, just to know, like, hey, what's the reason that you want to go there, and how are we going to approach certain things. I like knowing things about the people that I work with. So I will see you there, and if I don't see you there, then I will see you on the next live.